me watch that, and George made me watch Masters of the Universe. Ooh.
Oh, the one with
I've never looked at that
one
movie.
with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, never looked at it. I didn't realize that future Friends star Courtney Cox was in it.
Yeah, she popped up in a lot of things.
And the man, I forget his name, who's on Star Trek Voyager, he was the lead teen boy. Paris, Lieutenant Paris, and I forget.
Now, was Voyager the one with Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway? Yep. Okay, yeah, I do remember that because she played Mary Ryan Finelli on Ryan's Hope. Then they killed her off in the late 70s.
To be on Star Trek?
The late 70s. No, if you read her autobiography, no, because this was like 75 to 77. No. And that was like, about 15 years before Voyager?
Oh, yeah.
No, but apparently, she got pregnant as a single woman and had to, leave the show. She writes about it in her autobiography.
It's a soap opera.
No. She, Kate Mulgrew, the actress, got pregnant.
But she was on a soap
as a
opera,
single woman in 1975.
So she just couldn't be on the show because
she had to leave to have the baby, and then she had to give the baby up for adoption, and then they wound up killing her off. And then I remember they did recast her ghost would come visit. This was in the mid '80s.
Oh my god!
But it wasn't Kate Mulgrew playing the ghost of Mary Ryan Finelli. Now, how would they know if it wasn't even a lookalike? I was like, how would they know? How would they know that was Mary?
They put a sheet over her.
If I saw a ghost of one of my loved ones, they would look like one of my loved ones. They wouldn't look like, I will say,
Well, didn't they put a sheet over him?
Yeah, with two eyes cut out of it. They had to do a couple takes. They had to do a couple takes because some bald, round-headed kid kept putting all these holes in the sheet, and it wound up looking like a potato. They're like, "Get that kid! Get rid of that intern!"
It's the Seti Bimco Show. This episode is fantastic.
So this is the Seti Bimco Show, and John Kelly has returned to join us on a show that's all about teenage, high school movie drama, sometimes a guest. Mm-hmm. I've just been very busy, so guests have fallen by the wayside, and maybe the show will have a surprise coming with you.
Uh-oh.
A change.
Oh, okay. I do know about. John, I was at the production. John, I thought you were going to pull something on me,
you were
surprise,
you were
John,
sleeping
you're
in that
fired.
Meeting.
I didn't know. Much like when Florence Ballard of the Supremes showed up at the backstage, and they had the meeting in the dressing room, and they fired her, and in comes Cindy Birdsong from Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells.
Whoa!
Yes.
Is this a music history podcast?
No. If you ever see the movie Dreamgirls, that is loosely based on the Supremes. Effie White, played by in the movie Jennifer Hudson, is loosely based on Florence Ballard.
We watched the movie about the girls who were strippers and they stole these men's money. I can't talk. We watched the movie about the famous dancers, and they would take tips from the guys, and then eventually that man was like, "Hey, you took $1 million. I'm going to sue you." You remember that whole story?
Vaguely, yeah.
It was a true story, and they did the movie.
Is that
is that
Jennifer Lopez in the movie?
I can't remember, man.
She did a stripper movie that I never saw.
That's a pandemic movie that was like, here's another one.
It's probably not. I think you'd remember if I said Jennifer Lopez. You'd be like, yeah, you know who Jennifer Lopez was. You'd be like,
but I don't remember who was in that movie.
Wow.
I don't.
Wow. You were really hard up for entertainment that night.
Speaking of things that I remembered you said this when you left. You said, I'm betting when I come back, Carrie Lake still will not concede the Arizona election. I don't think she has. She lost her lawsuit.
The inauguration. They've had the inauguration. She's never going to. She's never, They
had the inauguration, and there was a picture of her getting on her airplane.
Yeah.
She wouldn't attend.
Right. Right. They're doing like some sort of shadow governor's mansion, and she's passing all these laws against trans kids and
people coming on her lawn.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, before I go on, I should welcome you back. I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about that happened in your absence, or you want to talk about nothing.
Not really. No, it was just as I said, my soul got sucked dry. I said fourth, but then I realized I'd had my fourth anniversary at the company back in October. So this was actually my fifth holiday season. And no, just the Christmas spirit was just sucked out of my soul. I enjoyed
3 of those.
I enjoyed Christmas Eve and, with my family and Christmas Day. Oh, but
okay.
No, beyond that, I was like, no way.
Did you drink eggnog?
Did not drink eggnog this year.
Did I tell you I found oatnog, or was that George I was telling that to? But I found oatnog.
We were selling oatnog, yes. So
they didn't have much of it. I grabbed it. There was no more.
I was just going to say somebody ordered it and we didn't have it, so I had to and then it's like, and then like sometimes like the system, and I have this little handheld computer, and it's like almost like it's almost like, well, not a Palm Pilot, but it looks like a cell phone. And it gives me the orders and what I'm supposed to pick, and I got to go all through the store. And then it gives me a substitution of eggnog for the oatnog. And I'm like, no, they're probably vegan. So, I mean, no, you can't do that.
Or lactose
intolerant. So I hit, item not found, bad suggestions. So
Oatnog. Yeah, they ran out of oatnog, and that's what you call white people problems.
I mean, we obviously were selling it. I never saw it, but apparently, like, if they could order it online, we must have had it at some point. I never actually remember seeing it. Just one day I got this order, and it was like, I don't have any freaking oatnog.
When you you left right before the holidays, and I will say my love my in-laws. They're very nice people. If they heard, and I already questioned them to their face about this, but when we visited them on the holidays, my wife's father's got YouTube hooked up to the TV, which you can do, and he's watching his TV, and he's picked YouTube, and he's watching the news
in Korean.
And I'm like, wait, didn't it? No, he's watching the American news, but I'm watching things. I'm like, wait, that happened. That guy already visited Congress. And I said, isn't this news old? And he's like, yes. Play the news is 5 days old. There's not so many ads.
Is that how it works? Is that how it works?
Because I guess he said he's watching the news that happens today. He's got too many ads in it.
Oh, my gosh.
He's beating the system.
That's too funny.
Unless there's an emergency.
I was going to say,
like, hey.
Just pray the Russians haven't released the missiles because, 5 days later, I can't tell you,
That's what you get like when you're old.
I guess. How old would your father-in-law be?
Oh, I shouldn't be saying that. He's older.
Older.
He's old. Well, he's old enough that as a child, because he was in Japan as a little child, and they were watching bombs thinking, oh, fireworks. So that's how old he is.
At that point, I think Korea was a colony of Japan.
Well, he had spent some childhood in Japan.
Right. Well, that's what I'm just saying.
I can't go into the whole story. He wasn't meant to be over there.
Oh, okay.
His father or mother went there. Oh. Don't want to get into the whole...
Okay, that's all right. That'd be another podcast.
That's called the Sad Podcast. Sad stories.
Well, yeah, the bombs.
Yes. So that was...
It's like when you were talking...
We're laughing about that.
No, we're not laughing. It's like the family I lived with in Sweden when I was the exchange student. The father was from Linz, Austria, Hitler's hometown.
Right.
And, of course, the Anschluss and Germany and Austria were like unified. And like he was talking about how, like the bombs were falling on him and they have to get in the cellar. And he would have only been about he wouldn't have even been, maybe he would have been just 10 years old at this point. And he was talking about the bombs falling. And then as he was telling the story, he's like, and you would pray. I mean, can you imagine as a little kid, like you hear the bomb falling and thinking, is this going to be the one that's going to, I mean, and then it dawned on me, they were our bombs. They were the Allied bombs. So we were like the ones. I was like, oh wow, and that kind of like took a while.
Did it dawn on you because he was staring a hole into the middle of your skull while talking? Those bombs.
You know those bombs. I keep doing a little dandy.
Yeah. If George is listening, he's going to be laughing because we've talked about Hitler the last 3 episodes.
Oh my God.
Hitler's been a big part of the show. You heard some of them.
I did, yeah. Have you? Are you aware? Maybe you get the email? There's this website. It's like a discussion board, basically. It's called Quora, Quora.
No.
Oh my God! People like are asking these questions, and they have like these. They give these answers, and some people, first of all, some of them just ask stupid questions, and then they get some equally stupid answers.
This sounds like Facebook.
Well, no, it's not like that. No, I don't even post. I mean, I'm just like, I just read them like, oh, okay. But it's like there's at least half a dozen new questions about the Nazis, like every day, and I'm just like, I'm like, I might start blocking this.
Yeah, why are you on that?
I don't know. Sometimes like some people ask questions about languages, and I always find that interesting.
There was something funny on Facebook or Twitter online. I saw that somebody was talking about Hitler, and one guy, one guy, I don't know how they got here, but he's like, well, we killed Hitler, so.
No, not really.
We didn't.
No, we didn't. Everybody knows he went to either Brazil or Argentina.
Yes. So we did something new. And I told you about it if you got my email today.
Oh, about the random question?
I have a jar of numbers. You can hear it. So that we don't do 3 written questions. We're going to pick a question, which is called Character Most Likely from This Movie 2.
Okay. Now, are we going to hold off? You're just going to give me the number, correct? We're not going to reveal.
I'm telling
them. Well, okay.
No, tell them.
Can I ask my question, sir?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I just ask my question? Can I ask my question before you actually answer it? No, I thought you would give me the number.
Terrible.
We would know, and then we would reveal the question to our listeners when we actually ask it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's well. Thank you, Tim. Gee whiz.
But the point is that, yes, we're going to see what it is. Most likely character. Man, can I talk?
I don't know, man.
Number 6. You see it, right? I sent it to you.
Okay.
Number 6.
Okay.
At the end of this movie, we're going to have a wild card question, which I just picked.
Yes.
We picked number 6, and we're going to tell the audience what that question was. Character most likely to do something.
Suspense.
Name their child Hitler, maybe.
Keep the suspense.
So what did we watch, John?
We watched The Van from 1977.
Yes. I enjoyed this movie for all the reasons I love bad 70s movies.
It was actually a good bad movie. Because it actually was making fun of itself. Like they were aware of what they were making. It was totally tongue-in-cheek. Now, whether people who went to see this in 1977 thought it was funny, no, I think we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But anyway, The Van. Yes. I'll give it a little.
It's problem. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm going to give so the Wikipedia.
There's not much of a synopsis.
No, well, the Wikipedia plot. First of all, it's like. The day he graduates high school, Bobby takes ownership of a tricked-out van that's like a bachelor pad on wheels. He's disappointed, however, to see that his best friend, who has better luck with the ladies, makes more use out of it than he does. There was one scene where the friend used it. I don't think the person who did this Wikipedia plot actually watched this movie.
Oh, there wasn't. Yes, his friend did use it.
But once.
But we'll get to that. Yes, once.
But this gives the impression that he's using it all the time. Well, that's what I get. He soon meets a shy girl. I wouldn't call her shy. I'd call her
no.
What's the word? Empowered.
It's
a little. Yeah, very direct. I wouldn't call her
shy.
I wouldn't call her shy.
For 70s, shy equals not going to sleep with me.
Okay.
That's.
So you think they wrote that this was probably written in 1977 then? Okay.
Yes, or written by a man. But
before
take that, man.
Before he can win her heart, he has to win a drag race against a local bully.
So there's only one big name in this movie that we'll ever hear of again. Mr. Danny DeVito. This is just before Taxi.
Just before Taxi, yep. Of course, it could have been.
I didn't look up.
Yeah, it was like it came out a year before Taxi, and maybe they made it like 2 years before Taxi. Because sometimes it takes a while for these movies to come out.
Right.
Yeah,
right. He was like 13 years old in this. So young. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, the height maybe made you think he was 13 years old. No, he was.
He looks so young. That's what he looked like at 13.
Yeah, that's what he's
13.
That's what he looked like. That's what he looked like when he came. That's what he looked like when he came out of the womb. And I had a laugh though, because like I look up the Wikipedia biography of Sam Grossman, the director, and it says he was an American director and writer mainly known for The Van and for directing various music documentaries in the 1980s. Additionally, he wrote several stage plays and worked extensively, and they put extensively in quotes, in television. I think that's like a diss.
It is
like extensively.
Whoever wrote that
actually knew him, had a bad experience with him. I don't know. Maybe one of the cast members of The Van. But I was like, wow, that's a diss. Extensively. You just put that one word in quotes.
I think it means, remember when Sally Struthers had her spinoff and she became a veterinarian? It was called Gloria.
Yes, and
it lasted 8 episodes. That's what he worked on.
Well, unfortunately for me, that aired when I was in Sweden, so I never did get to see it. But the pilot aired like in May, I think, because I do remember seeing like they did an episode. At that point, it was Archie Bunker's place, and she had come home with Joey, and then it was up in Dutchess County across the river from where I used to live, and with Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith played the vet, and she was the assistant.
Yeah. Yep.
Never go back and play a part you haven't played in 5 years, first of all, okay?
No.
Never go backwards.
Is that what she did? I thought that was a spinoff right off.
No, because she and Rob Reiner left in like 78, and this was like 83 that the spinoff happened.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, Sally, come on. She hadn't figured out how to rip off the kids in Africa yet, I guess. Because she was skimming off the top of that. Look at all that weight she put on. She was taking the food from the. Yeah. That was actually an episode of South Park, the first season. But anyway, we're not going to body shame Sally.
Which we're gonna
because there's a body shame scene in this.
Oh yeah.
There were a few disturbing things in this movie. It was 1977.
A few, John. The whole premise. I will get to this.
Well, Bobby.
We do start in high school. Let's just
high school graduation.
For no reason.
High school graduation.
For no reason, they pull the leg. Yes, high school graduation. We're
right. He's graduating from high school. You're not setting it up. You're going into the gag, and you got to set up. First of all, it opens up with you got to do the build up, Tim. You got to do the build up. They're playing Chevy Van by Sammy Johns in the opening sequence.
Terrible.
The opening sequence, one hit wonder. And, of course, the song had been out for like 4 years. It had been a hit like 2 years earlier. And he's driving around with just this goofy grin on his face. Yes, and the valedictorian is giving there's a lot of like intercutting in this too. And the valedictorian, this girl, is giving her valedictory speech. And Bobby is fantasizing. Like you see her in her cap and gown. And then all of a sudden there's like a fantasy scene where you just see like from the back, she's naked. She's still wearing the graduation cap. He's sitting in and then she asks Mr. Hump he's going to give a few words, Mr. Hump. No. And then, okay. So then tell the gag. What was the gag, Tim?
Oh, well, he pulls the leg out from under the platform for no reason that I can decipher. Is that the gag we're talking about?
The friend says, pull the rope. Pull the rope already, and they have it tied to. They're sitting behind the platform, the dais.
They are,
Now, how they got away with this? They tied a rope to one of the legs. The rope was running up to where they were sitting the whole graduation ceremony. Not one person ever said, "Hey, what's this rope doing sitting here?" Not once.
You put a lot of thought into this.
Well, I did put a lot of thought into this. I really did. I was just like, how could you pull that off? Like, hey, John, why are you? What's that? I'm like, what? This rope? Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. Just keep going. No, you don't have to worry about it.
It was the 70s.
It was the 70s.
Like, who's that strange guy in the white van hanging out in the parking lot? I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Giving kids candy.
So yeah, that they start off with a high school gag, which it seemed to me hemmed in there, like, I don't know. They jump in their cars. It's California. Mm-hmm. They drive off, and they come to a stop sign and sexually harass a woman who's sitting in a van.
Yes.
I say, they're like, ooh, what a piece. Want to do her. She's like sitting right there.
And enjoying it, by the way.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. She was smiling at him. She was.
Don't be an enabler.
I'm not being an enabler, but like there was no no. She was actually kind of encouraging, and she was a bit older than they were.
We'll get. Yeah, she
Sally.
She is part of the plot.
Sally.
We'll get to her.
Yeah.
Quality actress. We'll get to that.
She didn't do a bad job for what she had to work with.
What?
For what she had to work with. At least she can memorize her lines. She wasn't reading them off a cue card. I'll give her that. That's what I mean.
Think her boyfriend.
That's what I mean. Dugan. And how old was freaking Dugan, man? He had to have been at least 35.
Dugan?
Why is he hanging? And first of all, he's coming out of the pizza parlor. Okay.
Yes,
with the pizza. And like, I swear to God, all the people in this movie eat is pizza. That's the only thing they eat, because they all go every meal. Because at one point they go in the morning, they go at night. They're eating pizza all the time, except for a cop, and we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
There's a couple jokes in there. Actually, that was pretty clever.
We'll get there.
So anyway,
but Dugan is an old guy who likes to hang out with teenagers and threaten them and drag race them. Yeah. Sally is at least his age, I think.
Sally at least is probably like about closer. At least closer. She's probably somewhere between the kids.
He's not dating teenagers.
He's not dating teenagers. He just likes to bully. It's like, get a freaking life. Get a freaking life. And
so there's Tina and her friend, who I don't remember, because Tina's the main girl here, who's shy.
Tina and her friend Sue. Okay, can I just let's talk about, first of all, the reason. I guess Bobby forgot to ask for the day of his high school graduation off from work, because they're leaving high school graduation. He's like, okay, I got to get to work. And he's like, hey, and
Danny DeVito's his boss.
And his friend Jack is like, yeah, could you give me a ride? He's like, where's your car? He's like, I don't know. I woke up in like a garbage can behind some market, and I don't know where I left my car. So after they harass Sally, harass/compliment, I'm not sure. Jury's still out on that. He goes, hey, isn't that your car? And he's like, yeah, it is. And they're towing it away, and he jumps out and he jumps onto the guy. He's like, no, don't take my car. Don't take my car. And the cop and the tow truck driver are pulling off of it. Did you see what the name of the store was behind the car? CB City.
CB. Oh, of course. All you listeners out there used to be CB.
Citizens Band Radios. Breaker.
Yeah. Yep. What was your handle?
We did not have a CB radio.
My dad had one. My handle was White Tiger.
White Tiger.
Yes.
which had things going in a different direction. Also would have been your gay porn name. Because if you had gotten into gay porn, you couldn't use Tim Hamilton because somebody else took that.
Yeah, somebody already has that name. Never thought of that.
White Tiger.
My porn name. But Bobby, our hero, he smiles a lot. He's not attractive, and he's creepy. He's the villain of this movie. I would like to say. Oh, come on.
I don't know.
He works in a car wash.
He's kind of one of those. I don't know. I gotta say, he's like one of those sexy, geeky guys. I thought I like.
No, we'll get to why he's creepy.
Yeah, well. Yeah. The disturbing. Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm not letting him off the hook on that. But I could see where kind of like in a way he was sort of. Yeah. Anyway, he goes to work at the car wash,
and he makes an innocent. But this is what stood out to me. He's got 3 supposed friends. He makes an innocent joke that they're good at waxing because they masturbate all night. Right. And this joke seems to be the beginning of like a turf war or something. Yeah. I'm like, it's just a masturbation joke.
Dude,
they run his car through the car wash with the hood.
But when he gets to work, Danny DeVito, a.k.a. Andy, he was trying to vacuum out this car. And he was like jammed in the car, and the 3 coworkers are trying to get him out, and they can't get him out. So Bobby goes up to these 2 little old ladies. He says, "Pardon me, ma'am, can I borrow your hat?" And he pulls the hat pin out of the hat and pokes Danny DeVito in the butt, and he goes, "Ah!" And he just gets out of the car. Now, the reason why I bring that up, speed
it up film style. Yeah.
The reason why I bring that up was they got those 2 old ladies as extras. Right. I wonder if they knew what movie they were making, because it's like they're like, "Oh, we have to go. We're in a movie," and like they got all their friends from the retirement home and the bridge club and church. And now we got to go, because this movie was released only in drive-in theater. Now we have to go to a drive-in theater to see it. Oh, here, it's called The Van. And we're in it, and we're very prominent in one scene. The movie's writing itself. That movie is writing itself.
So because Bobby made a masturbation joke, they put his car through the car wash with the top down.
He tries to get it back.
That's ruining.
Yeah, luckily he's getting rid of it because he saved up money to buy a van. But it was he could have lost a leg or possibly his life, like because the overall, the coverall he's wearing, the leg gets stuck in the little rail thing that the car rides on, and it's ripping, and he's got to take it off, and he's just standing there in his underwear.
Yep, in front of
Tina, the girl that he's going to be getting set up on a date with. He thinks, he hopes.
Yeah, that's never clear.
Yeah, because Sue, her friend, is going out with his friend.
Yes.
Is it Jack? Jack, yes. And that the actress that played Sue, Marcy Barkin is her name. She actually did a lot of stuff because she again, it was like Mr. Hump, one of those people who you just always saw on TV, and she did a lot of like guest spots, one-off spots on television. It was just, like I saw her, Welcome Back, Kotter, Facts of Life, things like that. I was like, oh yeah. Her face was all over the place in the 70s and 80s, and probably still is. No, she's just she was like Mr. Hump. She's like, I don't know exactly what she was in. I couldn't tell you what line she delivered, what part she played, but I've seen that face before a million times.
But he shows up and gets his tripped out van. Slips on a banana peel for no reason other than, hey, that's
a joke.
And it's this van was made by a man who wears overalls, no shirt. Yes. I'm sure no underwear.
Yeah.
Creepy guy.
He
just keeps saying.
And, oh my God, it's hilarious because he opens up the back. And first of all, there's a mirror on the ceiling.
Yep, mirror on the ceiling.
And a waterbed. And a toaster for some reason. Yeah, I didn't get the toaster. You got a toaster, which does come in handy. It does come in handy.
3 TV screens.
Which does come in handy later.
Why 3 TV scenes?
3 channels. CBS, NBC, ABC.
Is he going to watch Charlie's Angels? He's going to watch Charlie's Angels,
Hello, Larry, all at once? And I don't know what was on. Wonder Woman, all at once.
Wonder Woman.
Which I was trying to think of.
Maybe you wanted to watch, like Roots all at once and surround
Roots,
sound.
But he didn't want to. But he didn't want to miss Super Train or Dallas.
But this whole van is covered with shag carpet, a toaster.
It's just the quintessential 70s
pot,
thing.
I guess.
It's just the quintessential 70s. And actually, going back to that, terrible plot that they used. Actually, the article this was called a Vansploitation film, which I didn't know was a thing. Like I heard of like blaxploitation films like Shaft and Foxy Brown, and there was a black version of Dracula they called Blackula. I remember those movies, but I didn't know Vansploitation was a thing. And basically, this one guy who is talking about defining the qualities of the genre is the van or vans must provide the engine that drives the plot forward and or provide the stage in which the action of the plot actually takes place. The characters in Vansploitation films generally have goals oriented towards spending as much time in their van as possible or putting money into improving their van's performance and or appearance via customization. In short, most van movies are about getting laid in a van and winning road games or other competitions also in a van. Not the exact plot of the film, just an explanation of the genre, but that is very succinct, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very succinct. Vansploitation. There's another genre known as Tony Dansploitation movies. Tony
Dansploitation.
Did you remember that?
I do. That was the early 80s. That was between Taxi and Who's the Boss. Poor Tony Danza. He had to get work somehow.
That was terrible. Those movies
just
revolved around having sex in or on
Tony Danza, improving the appearance of Tony Danza, improving the performance of Tony Danza. Tony Danza was the driving force of the plot, whether it worked or not.
So after he gets his van, this escalating war, all sparked by a masturbation joke, he puts what in their castor oil. And Tony Danza accidentally drinks it, and I don't know what that does. Either had to vomit or
it works as a laxative, basically. Yeah. So
he stole the key to the bathroom, so he really screwed them over.
Until,
well, we'll get to that. Let's not ruin this war.
We're there. I mean, it's like they're drinking the beer.
They're drinking
the beer. They bring he brings those big quart bottles of beer. I remember my father would get 6 of them and kill them off in an afternoon. And
3 beers for 4 people.
Well, he thought it was 3 beers for 3 people. So it was 2 beers between the 2 of them. And Danny DeVito, you're confusing your Taxi actors.
I know. My Taxi actor.
Danny DeVito is drinking out of the one. He's like, what's in this beer? Why does this taste so funny? And all of a sudden, I didn't realize castor oil worked that quickly. All of a sudden, they all had to. And then the turf war is really on.
But here's my first hint that Bobby's really creepy. Because the first person he shows this, I think the first person or second person he shows the van to, he's like, hey, Mom, check out my sex van. Because this movie should have been called Sex Van.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, Mom, look, shag carpet, waterbed, mirrors.
Yeah.
And his mom seems a little bit like, I kind of like it, but what are you going to do with this?
Well, there's the father pulls up from work, and he's like looking in the van. He's like, what is it? And there's this fantasy sequence. It's like the dad in his bathroom and the mother in her nightgown, and they're on the water. But there are a couple fantasy sequences in there, and it's just like
the only creative part of the whole movie.
And they're like, cheering each other with champagne flutes or wine glasses or whatever. And you're like, oh wow, it must be the father's fantasy. But actually, I think it was the mother's fantasy. Like the mother was really into it. The father was just like, I'm going in to get a drink.
His father's like,
I'm going in to get a drink. You make the payments, and your mother's not going to be responsible for it, even though she signed the papers. And I kind of want to say, well, yeah, actually, she is kind of responsible for it because she did sign the papers. But I didn't want to explain finance law to him.
But if it was his father, I'm almost like, he's creepy because wouldn't he fantasize about being in the van with a different woman?
That's why I think it was the mother's fantasy.
So she should have been fantasizing about being in the van with Tony Danza. Well, and that would have been the genesis of the Tony Dansploitation movie if they could have worked that in. Yeah. And it would have been like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon be like Tony Danza, Danny DeVito. Even though they wouldn't have had a scene together, and then they would have gone on a year or so later to do Taxi.
So he goes.
So here's the first of the funny cop stuff.
Yes.
They're eating ice cream and not donuts. They're always eating something.
Well, the skinny cop is always eating. The fat cop doesn't eat anything. But he's like, "Are you ever going to get fat?"
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he said that's like the last thing he says. Are you ever getting fat? And so I was I'm sorry. This movie did kind of crack me up. So at one point, there's like this one blonde kid, another teenager, and he's in another van, and he's revving up. And he's going to drag, and Bobby's leading him to believe that he's going to drag, and he just lets the kid peel off, and he makes a right turn.
Yes,
from the left turn lane, I believe, and no directional.
That's right.
That was very irresponsible on the makers of the van, I was going to say. So fine.
And the van has a horn that announces him every time he arrives.
Exactly.
It's not a horn for warnings. It's just a horn that says, "I'm here.
I'm here. I'm obnoxious.
I got a waterbed.
I'm obnoxious and I'm an asshole," is what that horn says.
Yes.
But
if you have a van that announces your arrival, you've already got several restraining orders filed against you by various women.
Yeah. You legally had to install that horn on that van. I've reached and
also
I've reached my sentencing guidelines. You will always have an annoying horn that you must blow every half mile so that people know you're coming.
That's right. So women know you're coming. To get away. Leave town. And also Bobby's a weird kid because everybody he told he had a van was like, "What? You bought a van?" Like, he's been saving for 2 years and he never told any of his friends, "Check out this cool van I'm making." He never showed anybody.
Maybe he only had the one friend.
But he didn't seem to. He was like, "This is your van, Bobby? Awesome."
Well, because the Jack, the friend, when they're driving from high school graduation, he had to go to work because I guess he forgot to ask the day off. He says, "You've been talking about this van for 8 years."
Oh, okay.
He does say that, but he's the only person who says it. So maybe Jack was his only friend. Maybe they sat down. Maybe they got seated together, or they got seated alphabetically in first grade, and Jack was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll be your friend," and which actually is pretty nice of Jack. He never ditched him as a friend,
I guess.
Then again, Bobby always seemed to have weed, so maybe that's why Jack continued the friendship.
That might be why. It's the 70s. Everybody had weed.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Hump had weed.
Mr. Hump had weed.
That's why they got away with it. They're all high.
The reaction time was
check out this rope.
Check out this. That can't be a rope. I must be high.
So let's get to the awful stuff because he takes his van to the
pizza parlor,
the pizza place
again.
The women are eating pizza.
He's trying to pick up two. He's trying to pick up two women. One, he says, "Hey, you like hanging out with this stud?" She says, "Yeah, just not assholes." And she walks off. And then he turns to his left, and there's another girl, and she just laughs at him. She doesn't even give him an answer. And then he goes up to the girl at the pinball machine. And
you want to smoke?
You want to smoke? Do you like hanging out in van? She goes, "It depends on the van and who's driving." He goes, "We'll see that van out there." She goes, "Yeah, I heard that. I saw it pull in." And he's like,
"I heard the warning siren."
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I heard the warning." Although she didn't know it was a warning. She was new to town. She didn't realize it was a warning sign. And he's like, "You want to go in the back and smoke a joint?" And she's like, "Yeah." And this is like his first. They took a couple catchphrases from different TV shows, and this was his JJ Good Times. He's like, "Dynamite." Did you catch that?
Yes. Yes.
Dynamite. And he goes to the van, they smoke the joint, and he basically attempts to rape her. Yes. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
No.
She's saying no. Nope. He's putting his hands up. He's taking her bra off. He's like getting
he's obsessed with touching a boob.
Yeah,
he's obsessed.
And that was a very disturbing scene. It's attempted rape. It's a scene about attempted rape. But
it is.
I may not believe in the invisible man in the sky who created the world in 6 days, but I do believe in karma, and he does get his karma because the second girl he takes out, who I believe is Latina,
doesn't he try a few more at that place or no?
No, there's three girls that he actually takes to the back of the van. The second girl is a Latina, and she says, "I don't do it for no money." which it was actually a very racist accent.
That's a prostitute.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, get out of here. The third girl he brings out, he's like apparently trying to perform. He's under this like fake fur blanket, whatever that is. And it's obvious that he's trying to perform oral sex on this girl. And all of a sudden this was very stereotypical racist. All of a sudden the back door of the van opens. There's this black man in a hat, kind of looking like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch, with a baseball bat. Yep. And she's also a prostitute, but he's got to pay. And did you see the amount of money he gave the pimp? He's basically the pimp, the black guy.
I thought it was a
$10 bill.
$10. I was like, oh, you got off easy.
I was like, really? Is that what a hooker cost in 1977? I have no clue. I was still roller skating.
Sex worker.
Anyway. Okay. It's 1977. We're going to call her a hooker.
Yes.
I mean, is that how much I was roller skating, listening to ABBA songs. I don't know what was, I guess I don't know the going rate for a sex worker in 1977.
So this movie turned from sex fan, to rape fan. I wrote down this movie should be rape fan.
Yeah, that was real.
And then he does go with a double date because they chase the girls down in their van. This is also kind of not rapey, but harassment. They chase Tina and what's her name? Sue down the highway. They finally pull over, and Bobby goes with Tina to the beach because they're going to meet the other guys at the beach, but the other two don't go to the beach.
Right.
And Tina's like, she's stuck at the beach with him.
Right.
And he tries to touch her boob.
Right. And she says no. But they actually wind up kind of having a little bit of a talk,
but then he tries to touch her boob.
But she does stay. I think she makes him sleep up.
Well, she runs to the van. She runs to the rape van.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She's like,
he sleeps in.
I've had it with you. I'm going to go hide in the rape van.
But the next morning, he does make toast in the toaster, and so all is well because toast. Nothing says.
Yeah, she goes.
Nothing says sorry. Nothing says sorry. I attempted to rape you like toast. And he had like a kettle on like a hot plate, and there was some instant coffee, and
whole place is a fire trap.
The shag carpet, the water bed. I mean, it's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, I forgot. And there's a curtain in there with naked women.
Yeah.
Mentioned. Yeah. That's the curtain. But she goes to the bathroom and he sees the other two show up in their car.
Right.
And he's like, uh-oh. And another reason he's creepy, he has taped sounds of people having sex.
Right.
And he starts playing that and rocking the band.
Track. And not just a tape, an 8-track of people having
8-track.
It's sort of like the outtakes to Donna Summer's "Love to Love You, Baby." Like originally, "Love to Love You, Baby" was going to be done by like a really boring white chick, and they said, "No, let's give it to the black singer that lives in Germany." And and so that was like the outtake of that was the you remember Donna Summer "Love to Love You, Baby" where she simulates the orgasm while through the song, and she said when she recorded that in Germany, all she could think about was her good Baptist parents back in Boston hearing her on the radio.
Is this true?
It's true.
Is this a story you're making up?
True. It's true.
I think his 8-track was simply Orgy Sounds Volume 2.
Yeah, I mean, where do you find
from KTEL?
I guess I guess you can find any. Was that a KTEL?
A KTEL record.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he had that and Zamfir and his magic flute. Shout out to Mr. Kablaston.
Zamfir sold more records than Elvis and the Beatles combined in the UK.
I can't believe that.
I know, that was the ad. That's what they told people. Of course, back then, like there was no internet, so how could we tell? Especially in our town, especially in our town, it's like we couldn't dispute that. In our town, going to Scranton was like going to Europe. But anyway,
there was. So let's get past the overweight joke.
Yeah.
He meets a woman was she an ice cream server?
She's like an ice cream server, a hot dog stand, or whatever it was. It was a food stand. It was just like a drive-in.
You couldn't see her whole body, so he's like, "Hey, you like hanging out in vans and let me touch your boob?"
No, he asked her, "Do you want to smoke? You want to smoke a joint and have a quickie?" She goes, "Well, I don't have time for a joint, but I have time for a quickie." And she's a very, I wouldn't say, she was a large girl.
Yeah, she was large. That was the joke. She was like, "Oh my god!"
But I thought she was very well proportioned. You know what I mean? I thought in a way she was very. In a way she was very attractive. But obviously the joke was because they put the camera. They zoom the camera right on her ass. So you're like, ah ha ha, funny. And she just like Now you want to talk about attempted rape and karma? She basically rapes Bobby. But the fat shaming joke is that she's burst the waterbed and that you see the water coming out the back door.
Busted his waterbed. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God that's the only time that shag carpet got clean.
I know.
Because Bobby's friend does use it.
He does.
Sure, go ahead. Put some of your DNA back there too. Mix it up with
that way.
And I'll be able to DNA.
That way, if I ever have to throw a body I've tried to rape and she's put up a fight and I have to strangle her to death, I can just throw the body in with your DNA and you'll take the rap for me.
Right. They go to Van Beach where they see all the other vans.
Yes, and they fall in love.
Bobby and Tina fall in love over a 35-cent beer. I mean, that's how cheap things were.
I know.
35 cents and $10, you got a beer and a prostitute.
Sex worker. Sex worker.
Sex worker.
Because I got correct.
I was going halfway between hooker and sex worker.
Because I got.
Meet me in the 80s. Meet me in the 80s.
I got corrected.
So they see all the fancy vans.
Yeah.
There's a white van with no windows down there.
Mm-hmm. Kids coming. Candy.
And there's a drag race.
And
Tina's like,
which they well, I guess I didn't steal it from Grease because this came out the year before Grease, so I guess I was wrong on that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But no, maybe
they stole it from the
maybe Grease stole it from the van.
Maybe. So at the beach where they almost fall in love, though, they start to kiss, and of course he's like, "I'm going to grab her boob because I got a chance," and she jumps up. It's like, "Bobby, it's a time and place for everything." And she steals his van. So karma
makes him walk.
He tried to. He assaulted her, and she stole his.
No
van.
Means no, Bobby.
At this point, Bobby's catchphrase is, "Women can't live with them. Can't touch their boobs without them getting all uptight."
Right.
I don't know if you heard that. That was his catchphrase.
No. Oh, really? Because I thought it was can't touch their boobs without them blowing that rape whistle.
Yes, that too.
That's what
because after this, Bobby goes to Sally's house and spies on her with binoculars.
Right.
Bobby is a date rapist serial killer in training.
Yeah, Bobby today would have been registered as a sex offender. Like he would have gone, like Sally would have woken up, got online, ping, new sex offenders in the neighborhood.
She goes to Sally's house. It's just like, "Can I come in?"
She says yes.
And
no, Sally. You were arguing with me earlier. Sally was encouraging it.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
She was,
but But this is where her acting. Where she had to act. So I was like, "Oh, poor Sally."
Poor Sally.
Because she's talking about her boyfriend is Dugan, the bully.
Right.
She's like, "That Dugan, I just wish somebody would like show him someday."
Yeah.
And she goes, "I don't know," like that. And I'm like, "What? What's going on with her and Dugan?" And Bobby's like, "You got me all screwed up." Oh no, Tina got him all screwed up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So then basically like they're in her house, feet from her bedroom, but they go out to his van to have sex.
Because it's a Vansploitation movie, John.
It's like
And then,
it's like having a fully equipped kitchen, like a 6-burner stove, and going, "You know what? I think I'm going to cook dinner out in that camper, out on that propane stove in the camper." I mean,
So they're having sex, and they're like, "Uh-oh, I hear Dugan's sex warning."
Yeah, he had another obnoxious
van.
I think Dugan was a registered sex offender. I think he was like sex offender zero. I mean, it all started. There were laws passed in California because of Dugan.
Oh, the Dugan law.
Dugan law. That's why you have to register as a sex offender now in California. That would have been the sequel.
So they hear his alarm coming, and he just sees the other van leaving, and he's suspicious that Bobby has slept with his girlfriend.
Right.
I guess it's
his girlfriend.
And then they play this song forever, the rest of the movie. Did you hear the lyrics? Oh, is this when they slept together? There's a song that the lyrics are, "She gave me her early morning love."
Yes.
They just kept singing that. I was like,
well, then they go back to, they do go back to the pizza parlor at one point. Between then and between him having sex with Sally and his first experience with Tina, again, they're at the pizza parlor because I guess they haven't had enough pizza.
Because we forgot one thing because it's going to come up later.
Okay.
We had our second encounter with the police. I think they're eating a pizza and they crash into that other kid's van that was going to race.
Right.
There was another kid. Totally not important to the plot.
Yeah, totally not important.
We saw the cops again. The cops are just in their car trying to eat pizza, and they wreck their second car.
They wreck their second car.
They wreck. So anyway.
And then at one point, because I had actually watched this movie twice because there was a lot to absorb.
Whoa.
No, I had to because it's like I couldn't keep – because then there's – at what point do like the three guys that he gave the castor oil to at the car wash show up again
to beat on him. It's escalating.
And then they're chasing him in that old pickup truck like it looked like it was like out of the Depression, like the Dust Bowl. And
they had some hot shotguns.
And did you know the one cop, the skinny cop, is sitting in the passenger seat this time and has like a chocolate cream pie just sitting on his lap. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I know. They had a pie. I saw it.
Oh, so they're back at the pizza parlor. Dugan says something about, "You're the one that slept with Sally." Tina overhears it. She's like trying to get out of the pizza parlor. He's like, "No, you're coming with me." He puts her in the van, and Dugan is going to come out and like, I don't know what he's going to do, like beat him up or something. And this is when he appropriates another catchphrase from another popular sitcom of the time. He gives Dugan the figure and says, "Sit on it."
So him and Dugan are going to race.
Well, then he and Tina wind up spending the night. And she like gets really into like, because like Sally told Bobby that he was bigger than Dugan, and like Tina really gets into that for some reason. Like, it's like, did Sally really say you're bigger than Dugan? And she like was really kind of maybe there was like going to be a thing.
70s.
Maybe there was going to be maybe Tina actually had a thing for Sally.
Maybe. Why were they going to have the drag race though? Oh, because he kidnaps Tina and finally talks to her, and he's like, "You got me all screwed up."
No,
Tina.
They had to have the drag. They had to have the drag race because Andy, who's running the bookie operation out of the car wash, had to pay somebody. The odds on the horse were 30-1. Well, it wound up winning by 5 lengths. So Bobby gives him it's $200 or something, and gives him the money so he can cover the bet. And now all of a sudden Andy doesn't have the money, and the payment on the van is due. And of course the father has already said, "Don't come to us looking for help." So he's got to get the $200. So he's going to drag Dugan to win the $200.
So they're going to have a drag race with Dugan, and he calls Dugan a turd, and Dugan flips out. No one calls Dugan a turd. He just loses his mind.
You can sleep with my girlfriend. You can run my van off the road, but do not call me a turd. That's what sets him off. Oh, and that's what sets him off finally.
Yes, that's what sets him off. And Dugan shows up drunk for his drag race.
Bobby shows up drunk.
Because Tina... Oh, sorry. Bobby because Tina doesn't love him.
Yeah, they weren't really very responsible.
No, they make him drive anyway.
Yeah, he's driving anyway. Yeah.
So they have their race, and I don't remember. He wins the race because Dugan wrecks the van, and I don't remember why.
The police hit it again, and they had just gotten off the radio with their supervisor saying, if you mess up one more car, that's it, you're through. They wind up hitting his van. They hit Bobby. His van flips over on top, and they pull him out, and the waterbed's broken again. He's just like, Bobby, don't die. Tina's like, Bobby, don't die, and he just like spits water out of his mouth. He goes, okay,
right.
But it turns out that he's just a little over the finish line. So yes, he has finished. Yes. He has won. He has won the race. But Andy shows up with the $200 anyway. So
that was kind of a joke.
Yeah,
I got the money anyway. Ooh. That water must have tasted terrible. The end.
The end.
We end with a song, Early Morning Love. We better go to quiz time because it's so late.
I'll call it the BIMCO SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes. I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The BIMCO. I love quizzes.
Answering
the BIMCO.
I'll call it theme song.
No. So we picked a number at the beginning so that we would have time to think about this answer, and I thought about it not at all. It's our wild card question, which is, which character in this movie was likely to become a millionaire? Is that what it was? We picked
that was the question.
Most likely to become a millionaire. Mm-hmm. Did you have any ideas?
Were
you stalling for time like me?
Well, I don't have a really clever answer. I'm just going to guess probably Jack, only because, like, not that he did anything. He's just going to inherit it. For some reason, he strikes me as somebody who comes from money, even though he has a crappy car. He just strikes me as somebody, like, he doesn't work. You remember those guys in high school? No. Like, they always had a car. They always had, and they didn't have to work, and because their dad bought them everything. So I think Bobby would become a millionaire. That's a very bitter answer if I think about it.
Yeah, just for inheriting it.
He just inherited. He didn't do anything for it. I didn't say it was a funny answer. It's just he just inherited it. He did nothing. He didn't get off his pretty ass. He just everything was handed to him. He said. I think maybe he said bitterly.
Well, I think we joked about these alarms in the movie, but they didn't really exist yet. So I think maybe Tina, she created sex offender alarms that you installed in cars, and they were at a frequency only women could hear. And, so you hear their car coming, you hear their personalized alarm. That's Henry. That's
much better than mine. Yours is actually funny. Mine was just bitter. I'm still very
women here coming.
I always say I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about high school anymore. But boy, those guys who didn't have to work and didn't have to just got.
I don't remember any in our high school.
There were a few. There were a few.
One person.
No, there were a couple.
So that's a silent sex offender alarm. She created that.
There you go.
In this alternative universe, and she became a millionaire.
I love it.
But now our usual questions.
Okay.
Who from this movie would most likely have a podcast? Did you think of any?
I'm going to say the cops. The two cops are going to have a podcast. It's going to be based on diners, drive-ins, and dives of that Guy Fieri show on Food Network.
Right.
And every episode, they actually just eat the food in the car. Well, the skinny cop eats the food in the car. And then, like, they're sitting out there and they're talking about the food, but nobody ever gets to eat it because they wind up getting a call on the radio and the food flies all over them.
Is Fieri in the back seat? It just always flies in his face.
I don't know contractually if he could or not. Contractually, I don't know if he could or not, but that's not a bad idea.
I think that'd be funny. It's the same joke. It's like they're eating wedding cake. He's like, uh-oh, I hope that doesn't fall on my face this week.
Yeah, kind of after the third episode of the podcast, you kind of get the idea. You're like, okay, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah. Listenership took a dive after about the third episode, much like SETI BIMCO. But anyway,
I think since there will be a podcast about someone from this movie, so I hope this counts because I think it would be a podcast about someone from this movie. Annie Bannister, she would have a podcast about trying to find the killer, known as Sex Van Serial Killer. Annie is an adult now, but when she was a kid, her mother was a victim of the sex van serial killer, also known as Svisk. for short.
Rolls off the tongue.
Of course, this killer's Bobby. We all know that. In the movie, he was only getting started. He planned to get a job building the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, but it finished the year he graduated. It was all complete. Thus, he worked at and eventually took over Mr. Friendly's used car lot.
Oh.
And bought himself a new van, hopefully so he could touch a lady's boob. Tina went off to college. She became an artist because she was inspired by a brand new cartoon in the newspaper called Garfield. He did take her to the airport and tried to touch her boob when he said goodbye. And as her plane flew off into the clouds, he said, "Women, you can't live with them. You can't spy on them while they get dressed without them getting all uptight."
And they'll blow their rape whistle.
They'll blow their rape whistle. Anyway, Bobby, the sadist killer, he killed many people up and down the California coast because he didn't have to stop at gas stations because he got the bright idea of filling his waterbed with gasoline.
Oh my God! Don't be smoking a joint back there, man. Or a cigarette.
Anyway, he was caught thanks to Annie's podcast and her hard work and the fact that Bobby's van was the only van that needed constant toaster repair. He had that toaster fetish. Had a toaster in the back of his van and the constant shag carpet repair that was needed. So, and all the DNA that was in the shag carpet.
Right.
But gave him up.
But not before Jack took the rat, because Jack sat in prison for 20
Jack was back there too,
Jack
right?
sat in prison for 20 years for a crime he didn't commit because his DNA was on the fuzzy furry shag carpet cover blanket.
So this podcast was called? You want to guess?
I don't know.
The Shaggy DNA. No one listening knows about the movie called The Shaggy DNA.
Did they do a remake of it?
Maybe they do. Maybe they did. That I don't know.
Something like Disney did it, like circa Lindsay Lohan. Probably. I'm not saying Lindsay Lohan was in it, but like that time that
they remade Herbie. You think about Herbie?
Maybe that's what it was.
That's the last movie.
That's what it was. Maybe that's what it was.
So, well, one more. Who would have a spin-off TV show? Any ideas?
My idea was, I kind of gave it away when I was talking about Tina's attraction to Sally, but it would be Tina and Sally.
Oh.
And they would be, because Tina really got into Bobby when she found out that he had slept with Sally.
Right.
And finally, Tina confesses her love to Sally. And they have torrid, much like Susan Sarandon and Catherine Deneuve in The Hunger. That's their first date.
That's the TV show.
Their first date. They go see The Hunger and the lesbian scene with Catherine Deneuve and Susan Sarandon, and just all sorts of hormones break loose, and they wind up hooking up. And of course, going to make a lesbian joke here, because the old lesbian joke is, second lesbian date, you're in the U-Haul. So lo and behold, second date, they're in the U-Haul, and they move in together, and they live happily ever after, raising cats and making macrame plant hangers. And the name of the spinoff series is You Can Touch My Boobie.
And Bobby be watching at home, punching the TV.
Well, if they'd let him watch it in prison, I don't know. They put the TV set in the yard. Seriously, when I worked at ACF, Auburn Correctional, they had like the TVs out in the yard.
Well,
yeah.
Seems odd.
Well, I mean, they're not going to give each. Well, first of all, they got to.
Was Cuomo governor?
First of all, they got to be mounted way high up, because they could be used as a weapon.
Was Cuomo governor? One of his wacky
Mario
plans.
Mario Cuomo was at the time.
Cuomo's one of his wacky plans. Yeah. He was always about putting TVs outside.
Everybody knew. That's what cost him the election in '94 to Pataki. Pataki won on. I am taking the TVs out of prisons. That was the difference in that '94 election.
No, he just wanted you to put your TVs outside. I remember my dad being like, "I'm not putting my TV outside. Not voting for him. Keep the TVs inside.
Keep the TVs inside where they belong." What is this, a drive-in? Is this a drive-in? What am I supposed to watch outside? Vansploitation movies?
All right.
Hey, again, I didn't say it was.
Let's end this bit. No one believes this. They're going to make you put your TVs outside in 1974. Trust me. You couldn't get gas. Had to watch Maude out on the porch.
Oh man, those were some sad times.
So I'm surprised you didn't choose this, but my TV spinoff would be those two cops. They were hilarious. The TV show would be they got fired from the police department because they wrecked their third car. So the TV show starts off with them becoming taxi drivers. But they both sit in the front seat together.
Yeah,
because they loved being together like they were police. So they both sit in the front of the cab with food, just like they were cops. So when a customer gets in, the customer's like, "What's this? You need a co-pilot to get me to the theater to see Star Wars for the 5th time?" And Chuck would say, What are you, a passenger with an attitude? And he'd toss him out the car at 45 miles an hour. That would be what the episodes would be like.
Oh, wow. Gripping.
Like, another customer would get in the car and say, "What? I need 2 people to drive me to the store to get the Apple II computer that just went on sale?" And Chuck would say, Yeah, you need 2 people, 1 to hold a light bulb and 1 to toss you out in your ass. And they throw him out of the car at 45 miles an hour.
You're taking this off. You're taking this off of your 1977 list. Which,
whoa, slow down. You're saying I have a list about the 1970s?
You sent me an email about the 1970, I know. 1977. No, because what I want to say is that one thing of course, the one thing that caught my eye. Okay, when you were talking about, like, you sent me about the blackout in Star Wars, the New York City blackout, which actually, I survived. Now, I didn't survive that. We were living in that was the year after we moved to Saugerties. But yes. What caught my eye, of course, as the gay man, was that the Barbie road trip with motorhome dune buggy and a bicycle was $72.95.
Whoa!
I thought in 1977, I thought that was very expensive, and when I pull that up in 2023 dollars, that was $352.63. You must have really had to love your little girl.
So those 2 cops, they get into many accidents over the course of the first season.
We're still going on about the cops.
Fried chicken. Yes, these 2 cops. Oh, man, they're not done with their story.
Oh my God! I think we are, Sam. I think we are.
No,
I think
Let me finish.
We're done.
Wait. It's only one little paragraph. Let me finish. The first season, they wreck their taxi 3 times. So it gets taken away. So in the second season...
Wait, there's a second season?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
The second season, they end up driving one of those electric chairs that take people up and down the stairs when you can't walk the stairs anymore due to a health problem.
Right.
Charlie's the only one who needed it, but Chuck sits in it with him so they can both pretend they're still police officers, partners, and they ride up and down the stairs, eating food, wedding cakes and whatever, and of course... While eating the food, they eating a yard-long hoagie while riding in their electric chair, they get into an accident with a van, and the show is canceled.
Oh, thank goodness!
And the show is called. What's the show called?
I have no.
The movie Crash. Not funny. It's just Crash, the TV show. That's
that. Thank goodness.
Because after they crash their electric elevator chair into a van, they weren't allowed to have anything.
They weren't allowed to have everything.
And that's that.
And that is that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to watch. I'm flipping the coin.
Okay.
So next week, I'm flipping the coin on what John picked. I picked a movie called Teenage Hitchhikers. Ooh. So it's going to be about the girls.
I wonder what this is.
Getting rides in vans. Well, I took a look. It's a comedy.
It is okay. Good. I hope it's nothing like too terribly disturbing. Like faster, faster.
Maybe
like when you said that, all I could think was like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
A couple of things.
It could be Joshua John Miller's mother, but anyway, go ahead.
What?
Yes, before she was the Playboy centerfold. Maybe it was after. I'm not sure, but yeah, she was in Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Next week is a special week. It's the 50th episode.
50th. The golden anniversary.
By the time this airs, it'll be about almost the year anniversary of starting this podcast.
Wow.
We did 50 hours of talking. Next week, we'll have cake and everything. It's a special week. You should come here. You should give we'll get to that. But next week, we're going to watch Teenage Hitchhikers. 2 things. I think it might be borderline summer camp, but not Skinamax, because this is before that existed.
Okay.
And the girls in it are obviously not teenagers. So
okay.
Also, obviously,
okay.
Obviously, they are teenage hitchhikers in high school, but obviously they're not teenagers.
Okay.
50th episode, super party episode. We'll have surprises. Haven't figured them out yet. There'll be a big announcement.
There will be a big announcement.
Give us 5 stars in all those places online. And
please.
You can hear us anywhere you can hear podcasts, and you can write us an email at SETIBIMCO with the e.gmail. I'm still on Instagram, SETI_BIMCO, I think. Not on Twitter and Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Trump's coming back.
I saw that.
But yeah, that's the end.
That is at the end. Yay! It's great to be back.
Yes. Good to have you back. And then we'll see you next week with lots of games and prizes and announcements.
There are going to be no games. There are going to be no prizes. Yeah, this is going to be like this is going to be like my 8th birthday all over again. And
next week, we promise not to mention Hitler. All right, John.
All right, Tim. You have a great week. See you. Bye.
Bye.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line. It's a party line.
About that. You heard that episode.
Okay, I'm going to be up front with you. I didn't hear every episode.
You heard some of them.
I didn't hear every episode. I kind of stopped listening to the episodes with me on. I don't know. I've been busy, man.
I'm leaving this in.
I just like I didn't even like listen. That's why I was listening to the episodes last night. I was like, oh wow, I didn't hear this one. I didn't hear this one. I didn't hear this one. There's like, I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't listening to you and George. I just haven't listened to it in like. I've been freaking busy, man. I come home, I like collapse.
I understand.
I like collapse. I kept up one week. I had no clean laundry. I just started buying new clothes. I'm like, wait a second, this is wrong.
Oh my god!
I know. So if I'm like, I got to go do some laundry, but I was just always so tired.
Were you buying new socks?
New socks, new underwear. I got plenty of socks and underwear and jeans and pants and shirts now.
A new hat.
All right.